Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 15 Good Minutes. It's your guy, Coach B, here with the A-Team. JR, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. You know, everything's going smooth.
Excellent. Freddie, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well considering the circumstances.
Says the Florida State guy. Listen, folks, we have a distinguished guest in the building today. We're really happy to have radio host, personality, podcaster extraordinaire, host of an extremely popular podcast and radio show called Golf DMV, and a friend of the program, Claude Jennings. Welcome to 15 Good Minutes, my guy. Good to see you here.
Coach and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys, man. I am a fan of your show. I jump on YouTube and watch it, and I just hope that I can, fulfill the promise of 15 good minutes. I hope I can give you guys that. I'm gonna give it everything I got, though.
Sure you will. Sure you will.
So here's the thing. I mean, we'll get right to it, and so everybody that understands, college football, has seen that in the past week, Boo Corrigan and the committee, has made their selection for the NCAA playoffs, the Final Four, as it were, for football. And there's been a considerable amount of feedback and talk regarding a lot of it, but most of it centers around Florida State being nixed. So one of the reasons that I asked Claude to join is because, I believe that next to Freddie, he's the most well-versed college football person that I know in my circle. And I really would like to get, some opinion. So I'm going to start it off and say, if you don't know, the way that the playoffs shook up, you've got Michigan at 1, Washington at 2, Texas at 3, and now Alabama has the 4th. So we have a resident Florida State person on our staff, and Freddie, I'm going to start with you, Freddie. First thoughts, on the committee and their selection.
My initial thoughts, I was outraged in the beginning, but then after 3 days of compartmentalizing and
medicine, drinking.
Yeah. But what I come to realize is the biggest thing is who oversees college football? ESPN. What happens in 2024? ESPN's $3 billion deal with the SEC goes into effect, right? $3 billion. I think it's 10 years or 20 years, something like that. $3 billion, right? So when you look at it, you hear all the different narratives for and against Florida State, whatever it is, what it is. I think, to be honest with you, it was one of those things to where, I would rather them just come out and say, guess what? We thought that it was going to be a sexier pick leaving, Florida State out and keep putting Alabama. I could respect that more. I don't agree with it, but I can respect that more if you just say, hey, we want to have Alabama, Michigan, Texas, Washington and what have you. I think that, the money factor played a huge role, which what they thought it did. I don't think you're going to see more viewership or any less viewership if you got Florida State in, because Florida State fans travel and they tune in. If Jordan Travis was so important, why don't you give him the Heisman Trophy on Saturday night or whatever? And I thought about it for a second. It's not going to happen, but it really makes sense. If he was so important to where they can't get in and they 13-0, they beat 2 SEC teams, went undefeated, give him the Heisman. And I'm not campaigning for Jordan Travis. I'm just
I think you are.
No, I'm really not. I'm really not. But I'm gonna give you, JR, and Claude the opportunity to chime in.
So over to you, JR. I mean, you've had a chance to digest it. Probably not at the level of Mr. Jordan. Your thoughts on the selection committee and what they put out there.
Well, like I said earlier, it's like, I've been watching football a long time, and you eat the sausage, but you don't know what goes into the making of it, And so I've been reading about the committee and how the selections go, and there's so many things that I never knew, to be honest with you, even though I watch it. And when you start reading and devouring what they're saying, what they go by, the injuries, the strength of schedule, and all of that, it's still hard to determine, but I think it is a part of what they said. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This is what they chose. I think that Freddie is right to a point because of the entertainment value. You don't see that just in college football. You see that in NFL football. I think there's always outside entities that play into the outcome of a game. You know, for some odd reason or another. I don't know if it's fixed. I don't know if it isn't, but I know it's entertainment. And I know people make entertainment.
All right, we didn't get to the 8-minute point before the fix is in. Okay.
No,
okay.
I'm just saying, you know, I just, like I said, I've been an avid just sports watcher, and I just see things happen that normally shouldn't happen. Like in certain sports, it's not as obvious as it is as what I watch. So, and I truly believe in what Freddie said about the dollars and the entertainment value. But I also understand the rules. I guess it's a tough decision, and somebody's gonna cry.
Fair enough. Claude, I think your team ended up in the 7th slot, right? Ohio State, I think, ultimately fell there. So, you know, as a Buckeye fan, and a follower of NCAA football, what's your take on the selection committee, right? How it shook up and the Final Four that got put in?
So here's the thing. The committee, I feel, is never going to get it 100% right. I feel for Freddie. Oh, my heart, Freddie, goes out to you. My heart weeps for my friend Megan, who graduated also from Florida State. I feel for the team. I feel for Jordan Travis. But there's just no way that they should be in the top 4. Because here's you can't do anything about injuries. That's the one thing. However, Florida State still had their destiny in their own hands. I remember a few years back when Ohio State lost their quarterback, and then Cardell Jones comes in, and they torched Wisconsin to the tune of something like 52-9, and that's what got them in. So if they would have came out and beat Louisville, I didn't have to be 52-9. Just give me 35-10. Look as if the train can keep running even if this one guy's not here. Now I do agree that Jordan Travis should 100% get the Heisman. It's obvious that he makes a big difference on that team, right? He should get it. But I just have a hard time thinking that Florida State, even with the undefeated season, knowing that they would not be at full strength, is better than either Texas, Alabama, or Georgia. I mean, if I even feel for Georgia fans, you know, I got family in East Dublin. You know, you win 29 of your last 30 games.
And the one that you lose
is the SEC championship, and now you're forgotten. Like, but again, I feel for Florida State fans, and I 100% get it. And I hate the fact that Jordan Travis got hurt, man. I would have loved to see Florida State in there. And there's no doubt that if he's there, they finish the season undefeated. They're in. They're one of the. And then Georgia and Alabama's got to fight it out, and Texas will be mad because Texas wouldn't have gotten in because they're not going to leave the SEC championship champion out of there. Because again, like Freddie said, you got to have an SEC team in the 4. It's a money thing. But
I didn't say that. I didn't see that. The media said that.
Well, that's what they say.
Yeah. But I just think I feel for FSU, the nose. I feel it. But I just think there's no way I think that there's really no way when you look. I think giving them 5, because they finished number 5, right? I think giving them 5 was somewhat of an homage to, sorry, you're not in, but here's 5. They really should be closer to 7 or 8.
Here's the thing, though, and I'm putting this out to the 3 of you. So anybody, you know, help me out here. So I think, and you know, full disclosure, I'm not a Florida State fan. I just felt like they were done wrong. I felt like, and I've been watching a lot of content, and I thought Booger's reaction what was the one that hit home with me, because I'm looking at people who played the game, and as someone who's coached the game a long time, every win, you know, isn't going to be sexy. It's not going to be there. And one of the points that I was focused on was, and I personally believe that they collectively, any opportunity you have to get Alabama in, I think they want to do that, number one. But it was just 5 years ago. That Alabama won a natty with the backup quarterback who was a freshman. Okay, so I see similarities on some level where your stud got you there. Let's be clear. Jalen Hurts got them there, right? Just like Florida State's stud got him there. Now, they didn't play for two different reasons, but you're down 13 points in the national championship game. You bring in a second string guy, and guess what? You win. Why is that okay for Alabama, but it's not okay for Florida State? So for me, it's kind of going to JR's point about how the sausage gets made, and what I think people like, Desmond Howard and Booger are saying, the inconsistencies just rattled me. They bothered me to that end. Again, they won ugly. To your point, Claude, I sent Freddie a text during that game and said, look, buddy, I got to hop over to college basketball because this is the ugliest college game, because it really was. And they did struggle against Louisville, but conversely, I would say that Alabama didn't. What is that thing? Is that the Iron Bowl that they playing? I would not say they won that. I would say that Auburn lost it. Sure. If we're going to look at how you win and lose, you threw a Hail Mary to win a game, right? And to Claude's point about Georgia, I'll say this. If I went into it saying like this, and I said this before they played, there's a good chance that Georgia could lose this game. In my opinion, if it's a game, meaning if they lose by one score or less, I still had them in there. I don't think you can lose by 3 points and just drop to 6. Just 6. So right. So I'll open it up to the group. Am I nuts? Is there something wrong with that mentality? Again, none of this is going to matter a year from now. But to take a Power-5, conference winner and bump them, to me, either Florida State or Georgia should be in there. Thoughts?
You want the SEC conference winner in there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know why you have to have it. There is no written requirement.
No bylaw.
You have to have it. There has never been an SEC, champion. So what? It's like those Cowboy fans that says the Cowboys are America's team. That was from the 70s when that was established, right? That was from the 70s, right? Yeah. So there's no written statute that says they have, right? So, but anyways, so when Alabama beat Georgia, right? They said, oh, we have to have the SEC champion in, right? Well, who beat Texas? Who beat Alabama?
Texas.
So now we have to have a sacrificial lamb. Guess what? Georgia, we know you're out because you lost to Alabama. Guess what? We can't put Alabama in without putting Texas in because they beat Alabama, right?
So you saying politics.
It's one of those things to in order to support the narrative to where you cannot leave the SEC champion out. What if Alabama had 2 losses?
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Because Alabama, they was going to the SEC championship game whether or not they won or lost to Auburn. They was gonna go regardless. So had they beat Georgia, would you have put them in then?
No, they wouldn't have put a 2 in. I think if they would have beat Georgia, even had 2 losses, either Florida State would have got in or Georgia would have got in. Georgia would have had another shot at it.
But then Texas would have got kicked out because because Florida State,
which I'm fine with.
Texas is only in because they beat Alabama and Alabama beat Georgia and they only had 1 loss. That's the thing.
Well, Texas is also in because of the Big 12 champion. They only had 1 loss too. I think there's no way. I feel like if Texas got left out, I would have even been fine if Alabama got left out and Georgia went back in, and then you have Florida State. I think every team that is left out in that 5, 6, 7 or 5 and 6 spot would have a legitimate argument. I just feel like to me, the least legitimate argument for me rests with Florida State for no other. And again, I hate it, but I think for no other reason than I don't think they're the same team without their starting quarterback. And he's such
let me ask you this, Claude.
It stinks for the rest of the team. But
okay, so to that argument, Claude, I believe that I mean, because there's this long period of time before they actually play the game.
About a month almost.
Correct. So I don't think it's going to be the third string quarterback. So that was my point with the analogy of Alabama in 2018. If Florida State was going to be rocking with their second string quarterback, why does the committee, in your opinion, see that as a problem or a challenge?
I think because they see the way he plays as a problem and a challenge. I think that they see that, was it Rodemaker? I think his name last name. I think they don't, and there's such a small sample size with him, by the way, too. Like,
because he got hurt.
You don't really know what you're getting with him. And again, it's a fair grievance. It's a valid grievance. It's just, I'm not sure in the hierarchy of grievances whether it's higher than what Georgia's could be, or if Alabama was left out, what Alabama's would be, or if Texas was left out, what Texas would be. And the thing about that Alabama thing, like you talked about it, where Jalen Hurts got them there. It wasn't as if he got hurt and then Tua came in and took over the rest of the season, or Tua played the first playoff game. Jalen got them there, and they were losing in that championship. And so they wanted to, try to win it. So they put him in. So it's kind of it's a different situation. And like the problem is that this thing for Florida State is a jacked up situation. I mean, that injury changed the whole trajectory of their season because he's such a dynamic player, and it sucks. But but I understand it. But it's, like I said, it's a valid grievance they have. But I think anyone who would have got left out would have that same grievance. I could see Georgia getting in, and Alabama being pissed about it. Like, we beat them in the SEC championship. Like, yeah, but you lost to Texas, and Texas isn't getting in. We're gonna have Florida State and Georgia. I can see everybody being pissed about it.
Does that mean, in your opinion, though, that how well you play, especially first half of the season, isn't as important as how well you playing, in December? Is that a fair statement, you think?
Sure. I think the committee takes all that in consideration, but you don't want to lose. If you're going, you hear it all the time. If you're going to lose early. And it better just be one game. And then you got to finish the season strong. Because you get two of those L's, you're not getting in. Now, I will say this. One of the best arguments I've heard for Florida State is, a different team without Jordan Travis, absolutely. But let them in and see what happens. Let the Noles in and see what they can do. See what, because the team played well this year. Give them a shot. Give them, okay, you're shorthanded, but you're going to go in this playoff. We're going to see what happens.
And if you guys aren't aware of it, to Claude's point, I really liked his response today to, Stephen A. basically claiming that all this is because of what happened last year. Okay. And I thought Claude lit him up. It is not, and that's my point. If TCU got in and won a semifinal to get to the big one, and then gets housed, so what?
Yep.
Why can't we use that same argument today? I know that we're saying on some level that the Noles limped in, but they still finished undefeated. How can that be? And I don't like this narrative that Stephen A. is putting out there and others, that this is really because, to your point about entertainment value, they don't want to see what happened again last year. Last year's over. No. This should have nothing to do with that.
Who did TCU beat to get to the championship last year? That Rusty, Claude?
Michigan. Yeah, they beat Michigan.
And it's almost the same exact team.
Going back to the sausage making jar, isn't that the point of the whole thing in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. And to me, it's when you talk about the play on the field, to me, is not really conveying teams that win. You know what I'm saying?
That's Booger's point as well.
Yeah, speaking for what's going on the field. You understand? So, I mean, we're all talking about the games played and all, and that's all fine and dandy. But to me, it's still, the problem still lies within the picking. You understand? So that's where I see the problem at. It's leaving people, at least to me, I believe, leaving people to wonder what's really going on with this choosing of things. Like Freddie said, it's about money, and you alluded to the same thing, Claude. It's about money, and if that's what it's about, then come out and say it's about money. Don't say, make up this excuse why this one didn't get picked, that excuse for why that one didn't get picked. Come on, because real guys that watch football, that understand stats and how the sausage is made, i.e. Claude and Freddie, are going to figure this out. They're going to sniff it out.
So
You know
if
what I'm saying?
if you guys would have put FSU in, who would you take out?
For me, it would have been Alabama.
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 How about you?
So I would
Yeah, I
take-
mean,
Because
it
it
was-
I would
seems
take-
like either
I would take- no,
Alabama,
no, I would- no,
back
I
in
would-
the day,
I would
back in
take
the
Texas-
day, it had
I
to
would
be
take Texas
Ohio
and-
State, it had to be Nebraska, it had to be all these big names. And to me, the only names now are the Alabama and Georgia. These are all football guys, right?
Yeah, I'm good with taking Texas and Alabama out and putting Georgia and Florida State in.
really.
Yeah. And I'll make Alabama. I mean, yeah, and Alabama and Texas can play each other again in whatever, Orange Bowl or whatever they want.
So to that
would
point,
take
to that
Alabama
point,
out.
I want to transition to that, and start with you, Claude. So, Michigan, Alabama. I know it's early. What do you see in that game? Who wins?
Alabama. Yep.
Wow.
Roll
GR,
Tide.
same game. Michigan, Alabama. Who you got?
I think Alabama's a tougher team. Even though Michigan's got a great record and everything, I think Alabama's got a tougher team, just like Georgia would be a tougher team.
Freddie, your thoughts?
I say Alabama because Alabama has speed. Michigan has no team speed. Michigan wants a phone booth game, and where they can physically. That's why they probably thought they wanted Florida State. Alabama has speed that Michigan does not have.
And Bama can stop Blake Corum without having to stack the box.
Exactly.
Bama can stop him with 4 or 5 guys. They don't need to stack the box.
Florida State can too.
All right, start with. I mean, I'm taking Michigan in that game. I'm going to start with you, Freddie. Washington, Texas. I know it's early. Give me a winner.
I'm going with Texas because I can see the transformation that team has made physically in the trenches.
Same game, JR. Texas, Washington. Are you going? Who you going there?
Washington been playing good football all year, but they haven't played Texas, I don't believe. So for the same reasons as Freddie said, I'm gonna go with Texas. I like Washington, but I just don't think they're strong enough for Texas.
Claude, how about you?
Yeah, my heart's with Washington, and I'm gonna be crushed when they lose. But they lose in Texas. I'm
He said
gonna
win,
be hurt,
not if.
and I'm gonna be hurt. I'm gonna be so hurt. But Texas is gonna beat Washington.
So again, odd man out. I'm going Washington. So
Okay.
then, Claude, your national champion is who?
Roll Tide.
Wow.
Much to Freddie's dismay.
Yeah.
Alabama. Woo.
JR, who you got?
It's gonna be the rematch. It's gonna be the rematch, and it's gonna be a heavyweight bout, though. I'll tell you that much. It's gonna be a heavyweight bout.
We go with Bama.
Freddie, who you got?
I'm going Texas because I think Texas defensively, they are good enough to match up in the trenches as well as they're good athletically at the skill position guys in the secondary and their running backs and their wide receivers. I'm going Texas.
Yeah, I think if it's between those two, I think Texas is playing better than Alabama. So I think that'll be interesting. I want to get Claude's thoughts on something since we have him here real quick. Claude, I'm going to read you something. I want to get your opinion. These numbers have probably changed. I get this report every day. This one came from the Atlantic. So this is what it says. The total number of portal entries yesterday from FBS and Division II players was 1,127, a 44% increase from a year ago. Total number from Division I was 1,049. 532 scholarship players entered, a 16% increase from last year's. And if I'm not mistaken, Claude, I think your quarterback is one of them.
Yeah. Now, so I do have family in Ohio, and I love Ohio State, but I'm a Maryland fan. I'm a Terp.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's cool. I'm adopting it as a
what are you seeing? In a minute or less, what are you seeing with the portal and is it out of control?
So it is out of control, but it's the players are doing what coaches do to them all the time. Coaches will recruit you, bring you in, and then leave you the minute they get an opportunity at a better job. Yep. And so players aren't staying with coaches and teams or schools that don't seem committed to them or for better opportunities. It stinks, but it's the business. It's what college football is a business. Bam. So that's what it is.
I think you're 100% right. It's I can tell you that I follow it closer on the basketball side, and 44% of the D1 players that went in before this season started are out of scholarships right now and not playing.
Wow.
44%. That number's going up. That means that, you had a job. You were playing. You playing at the D1 level, and you decided, I'm going in. And you can't go back. You relinquished that scholarship. And I think it's happening at the college football level too, but I don't get to see the inner workings of that the way that I do in basketball. So yeah, this has really been interesting. I'm really glad that we were able to get you, Claude, on the show.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan anytime. I'm a fan of the show, so anytime.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for our viewers. And those that are listening on the podcast, I'll put a link to the Golf DMV podcast in the show notes. Truthfully, when I tell you this, you don't have to be a golfer to follow those guys. What Claude and LB and Vern do, it's just next level. They've been around for a long time. Those guys set the standard, and it's just an honor and a privilege to count you guys as friends, as mentors. We appreciate you. We appreciate LB. We appreciate Vern for all you guys do for the community, right? And your resiliency and how long you guys have continued to do it. I mean, well done, man. That's no easy feat. And
appreciate it.
We truly understand that. So with that, JR, I'm going to ask you real quick. You got anything to say?
Yes, I got something to say.
Say it.
I want to congratulate my longtime buddy, Coach B. Now I'm like Manny. I got a book. Yeah, we're gonna have this. He's an author. He's an author. Look at that. Look, guys, if you want to read something really great about someone's life and their friendships with people and what they've contributed to their lives, get this. This is by Coach Brown. Okay, he's my friend for over 40 years. I'm sure he'll drop a link so you can check it out.
Yeah, I need
that. It's a good table read. All right.
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate
you. You got it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that so much. Appreciate it. Didn't see that one coming. It was a labor of love. It took 2.5 years to write. But I'm so glad that I got it out there, and so glad to count, you guys as friends, especially you, JR, for 40 plus years. On the other side, you could really just say, you're just old. I mean, it's just,
hey, that's cool, man. Everybody don't get to get old.
We just old. That's a fact. Freddie, you got something to say before we bug out?
I do, but after JR, I don't want to dampen it. So we're gonna end on that. We're not gonna. There's no need to try to. Not that I would try to top it, but there's no need to try to come after. Maybe for next week.
My man, appreciate you. And Claude, we always do this before we check out. If you got something to say, it's got nothing to do with nothing. And I'll tell you guys, at one point, Claude did this, and I don't know where I saw it, but he was like in a store and he was evaluating some type of variety pack, and he didn't like what was in the variety pack. He wanted more of the Lay's than the Dorito or something. And he went off.
Because they sell you these boxes of like 24 packs of chips or whatever, but they always put 4 or 5 like Sun chips in there with like the Cool Ranch Doritos and the Lay's. It's like nobody wants that. Like nobody wants those 4 in there. I don't know why they group it that way, and it's the most annoying thing. And then what's even more annoying is when you leave the grocery store and you go into your car, and people are leaving carts in the parking lot. Just put the carts back in the cart thing.
How hard is it?
And if I could just do one more thing, it's going to be so fast. And please do not eat your snacks in the lines at the grocery store. There's no you mean to tell me you can't wait for 30 seconds before you open up them chips? You have to be in line, opening the chips, crumbs all falling on the floor, your hands getting greasy, and now you touching the thing with you got to eat the Pringles. You can't wait 60 seconds to get out that line. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. So I don't go to the grocery store. I can't do it.
Carl, the blood sugar low, man. The blood sugar. Hey, man, I ain't had my shot. Hey,
It be like that, and all those things are 100% true. Once again, thanks for joining us, Claude. Really glad you were here. For our viewers and our listeners, we hope you guys have a super good weekend. We will see you guys all next week.